Bienvenidos familia. You have tuned in to Tech and Tequila. This is the podcast where technology meets community. And every conversation, of course, is paired with a great pour of tequila and some amazing vibes. I'm your Techie Chica, Cat Lopez Shelby. And today we are diving into the world of wireless connectivity, resilience, and innovation with my guest, Mr. Chase from For2Fi. So, Mr. Chase, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the episode with Mr. Chase, when we talk about For2Fi, we would not be Tech and Tequila without talking about tequila. And due to a little shift today, so if you see this right here, you'll notice I have my lovely little tequila shot that's all blurred out. Because I'm outside and I can't have a glass bottle where I'm at. So I had to leave the beautiful bottle, but we'll pop that on screen later on. Today, I am sipping on El Mágico Reposado, a tequila that truly lives up to its name. And that's right, because it is magical. So this is a handcrafted tequila made in Jalisco. It's from 100% Blue Weber agave, and it's aged in American oak barrels. It's rich, it's smooth, it's layered with hints of vanilla, honey, and toasted oak. It is the perfect balance of tradition and innovation, just like the tech that we are going to unpack today. So I want you to grab your glass of whatever tequila you're having, settle in, because in today's episode, we are going to cover how For2Fi bridges the gap between legacy infrastructure and modern wireless. Of course, why redundancy and failover matters. I think if you've been a listener for a while, I feel like I preach this all the time, but we'll have another amen at this section. And of course, how security, scalability, and simplicity are transforming the way businesses stay connected. So let's all grab a glass to the innovation, collaboration, and connectivity that never quits. Because when tech and tequila come together, you know it's going to be a good time. That was a very long intro, I think. We went over our tequila, but now we're into the main thing, which is to talk to Mr. Chase. So welcome, Chase. And before we get started, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of the background? I like to say, give us your little intro.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, For2Fi specializes in managed 4G and 5G connectivity, mobility, IoT, and POTS replacement. Thanks to having direct relationships with all three carriers out of the United States, Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T, there's really nowhere we can't touch. And again, what makes For2Fi as great as it is really goes into the devices we use. We are pretty much a Cradlepoint and Digi shop. We do not really offer any other offerings outside of those two devices just because of their enterprise grade devices that give some of the best signal out there. We have done a lot of testing on many, many devices to where we are happy with these two. And again, both of these devices actually end up having their back office manager, which kind of gives more management for the customer, for us, into seeing these devices, whether it be a POTS replacement, whether it be a wireless backup.
Love it. Now, I personally have worked with For2Fi a couple of times. Well, I would actually say at this point, several times on some different deals. But I know that a lot of clients are hearing about legacy copper going away. And I mean, I hate to say we're pounding the drum on it, but we got some people that are holding on till the end. So how does For2Fi, bring in a POTS replacement? And then the side to that is make sure that what you guys are doing is going to work for the client.
Absolutely. And again, how we make sure it works for the client really goes into our installation and site survey process that goes behind it. But let me start over from the beginning. And again, what really makes this wireless POTS replacement solution become such a fast growing solution out in the channel right now is really specifically going towards back in 2019, the FCC regulated to where they allowed carriers to decommission any old copper POTS, any old legacy POTS lines. And now fast forward to 2025, kind of what's that's done is, as you see with these carriers, if you're in this place, if you're still on legacy POTS, they are either one, they're very hard to manage these days. They're very hard to get support for. Things go down. It can take time for someone to get on a phone with, get support, and be able to have it back up and running. let alone the rising costs of copper analog lines right now. That has been one of the biggest things that I have seen. And it's really one of the craziest things to uncover within the channel, because people need these lines. For the most part, they're run for fire alarm, security alarm, or fire alarm, security alarm, or elevator alarms. So what we do is actually we go in, and why we go in, we do a site survey to basically have our team go out there and do a test and tone, tag and locate. There are often times where customers have been utilizing POTS lines and are on POTS lines for so long that they don't even realize that they have 20 POTS lines, and 10 of them aren't even being utilized. And so that's something that my team goes out there and evaluates for the customer. And kind of we walk out to each site, walk through the site with the customer, verify which carrier has the best connectivity that goes into it, verify the endpoint and the demarc, where the software is going to be installed. And then to go into that again, depending on the customer, a lot of people don't realize that fire alarms require 2 POTS lines. We get it all the time. So where I just need 1 POTS line, we go out there, we realize that this is for a specific security, a fire alarm line. You really have to have 2. At that point, we can kind of readjust, work with the customer, get them an updated contract, and basically come out and finish the installation.
I find that fascinating for 2 reasons. One, because anybody who's ever tried to go somewhere and figure out where something is, and you've got this huge wall of infrastructure that either A, is not being used, nobody knows what's going on. Instead of actually organizing and taking it down, they've just left it all up, especially in older buildings, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is with POTS lines, plain old telephone lines, you have this mix of people that just have kept it going because they're like, well, we've just had it forever. And, they've seen their bill jump and jump and jump again. So I think For2Fi has a great solution to that. But one of the reasons that I have brought For2Fi to the table before is about backups and resilience, building a resilient backup, basically. And there's a couple of things to that I like to talk about, because number one, you're a great solution for somebody that's waiting for something to be installed, like DIA or something like that. But also keep you on after that as a backup. Can you talk a little bit about that solution? And of course, the different options, if there's month to month contract, what that looks like for you guys.
Absolutely. And so to start off again, we working in the channel, getting in fiber, getting in DIA, we all know that it can have issues. Go out there and an installation comes up where it's going to take them 90 days. It may take a couple extra $1,000. So it's going to take some time. What For2Fi offers is a month-to-month solution where we can come out there, be the primary internet source, whether it be via Verizon, T-Mobile, or AT&T. On an unlimited package, we can get them up and running for their primary internet's sake until that actual fiber or coax gets installed for them. From there, we can actually work towards potentially signing a term to become that backup solution, be pretty flexible as far as that goes. And again, on a 5G backup solution on a simplistic 2 gigabyte plan, we're right around $100. So it's a very easy solution to have in place to really make sure that, one, when your primary goes down, you do not lose connectivity. And the really amazing things about these plans is the sole fact, again, For2Fi is extremely flexible. You might sign a 36-month term with a 2 gig plan. That doesn't mean you're locked into a 2 gig plan. That doesn't mean that you're stuck on that plan. We're going to work with you by month. We're going to work with you day by day, pretty much. And again, if your primary goes out, we're going to send notifications upon usage. So at 50% of that data plan, 75% and 90% and so on. At that time, we can work with you to, one, so you're going down. You've been down for a day. You're going to be down for another 4 or 5 days from what your understanding is. We can upgrade you just for that month to more of a 100 gig plan, a 200 gig plan, or even an unlimited offering to get you through the month. It is a little bit of an uptick in cost, but then at the end of the month, we can downgrade you back to that 2 gig plan to keep you always on that low cost circuit. It's always there for you. It may not be used, but it's always great to have. And then again, if you do have a big emergency where your primary is down for an extended period of time, we can get real flexible with the plans to be able to keep them up and running and reduce overage costs that can get absurd sometimes.
Yeah, no, I really like to say that talking about backup internet for customers may not be and I'm going to use the term, the sexiest thing to talk about, because people are like, oh, my internet's great. I got fiber. They have business enterprise class. But the thing is, your internet's great until it doesn't work. Like you get into the office first thing in the morning or whatever, and then nobody's working. And yeah, we have, cell phones, but we all know sometimes that it's just different, right? And I have a particular customer that I've worked with for a long time. And when like their internet goes down, they can't take credit card payments, and they're a restaurant, just FYI. And we were having this discussion because they're in a small town that the reason we were having this discussion was because of the fact that they looked on like the little small town Facebook group, and it literally was like every 3 months they go down and can't take credit card payments. And then you just know it's just a bad customer experience, right? And nobody wants to have that. So you have to think about like, what is it costing you in customer experience? What is it actually costing you to be down? And then obviously, depending on the size of your company, it's also like you're losing business time. People are either sitting around or they're having to figure out a backup. What do you find when you're working with clients kind of usually brings them to the table with For2Fi?
And I hate to say it like this, most of the time that when someone comes to us and it's a larger company a large enterprise company that says, I need backup internet, most of the time it's because they had an outage. They were down for a very long extended period of time. They may have lost thousands. They may have lost 10,000s. They may have lost $100,000s of dollars, all because they didn't preemptively prep and have just a simplistic, easy backup solution in place. And when it comes to those larger enterprise customers, thanks to the metered plans we offer, they can all pool together. It kind of allows the customers to get flexible with, if you have 100 sites at 2 gigs, you as a company have 200 gigs to utilize throughout all 100 sites. So if one site doesn't go down, use any gigs, great. But if one goes down and uses 50, you're covered. You don't have to pay overages. There's nothing that goes into that sake. But whenever I get most of my enterprise customers come to us for the sake of they haven't had a backup and their primary connection went down and they felt it hard. And that is probably my largest influx of customers that come to us is they just finally get to feel how bad it is to go without internet. Everything we do as technology is growing, we don't work without internet. Whether or not you're a business, whether or not you're a person in your own home, we can no longer work without it. And so to get something and have it in place just to be there, to be secure, be safe, and make sure you're covered is one of the easiest things to do.
I could not agree more. Now, you've talked about this a little with POTS lines, but when it comes to For2Fi figuring out what's going to be the best solution for your backup, like for your backup internet or for that temporary solution, how do you guys go about making that decision for the client and figuring out what's going to work best?
So, that's a great question because it really kind of involves a bit of a conversation. Again, we try to get as involved as we can just because, again, knowing what applications the customer has, knowing how many users the customer is going to have online, knowing what the customer does on their day-to-day activity, if it's certain just as simple as, credit card processing, POS machines, whether it be large data transfer files, anything that goes into that sort, it's really good to know because what we're going to do is right size the plan for them per site. And again, it can go into the fact of, I have 30 employees. They're always online. If anyone goes down, we may have 10 people. We may have 15 people on a call all at once. Again, in certain situations like that, I might advise moving towards more of an unlimited offering than just going towards the simplistic, cheaper backup option. But again, it really goes all into what applications they use. If the customer has, simplistic applications like a credit card machine, fax machine, POS machine, that's all running off of internet. Again, a 2 gigabyte plan will work just fine for them. It's not going to be an issue. We shouldn't even see overages, and let alone if they are down for an extended period of time, we can work with them. But if we kind of get into the conversation of this is a call center, we're running 15, 20 calls every 5 minutes. There's no way that, again, a 2 gig plan is going to suffice for them because they're going to burn through that data pretty quickly. So again, we really like to try to push, again, knowing what they do, we'll push for a higher plan. We'll push for, an unlimited package depending on the location. And then again, once we're installed, once we have the device in place, we can play with it monthly. So for, let's just say for the sake of the conversation, we signed a 20 gig plan throughout all of their locations. Come to find out, when they are going down, they're really only using about 4.5 gigs out per outage per month, and it's really not a big deal. At that time, we can reevaluate the contract, rewrite them into a 5 gig plan, get them downgraded, get them upgraded, whatever works best for them, and kind of play it by ear. Because again, the amount of data usage can go into so many things, so it can be hard to pinpoint exactly. So again, I always say start high for 1 month, get a feel of what your data usage is, and then from there, we can play with you, work with you, and do everything we can to get you on that right-sized plan.
I love it. So when you have a client and you bring them on, right, and I know they get warnings at 50% or 75%, but is there a way for them to go in and check that periodically to see like how much are we using? Do we need to add more or anything like that?
So yeah, and again, so this is more for the larger set of customers. We, again, with Cradlepoint and Digi, we have their back office managers, Net Cloud Manager and Genesis. Both of those, any customer can go in, view access, view their data usage, even run speed tests to see how great the speeds are, see exactly what carrier, all the IP information, all of that stuff can be obtained within that back office portal. We typically do not offer that just to onesie twosies, just because, again, most of the time, if it is a onesie twosie, they don't have a need to go in there and check for that kind of information. But for the customers that are 5 sites or more, even 10 sites or more, we actually co-manage it with them. So we'll give them direct access to NCM or Genesis to be able to go in there. They can view all of their uptime devices. They can even do speed tests. They can pretty much go in there and do everything we can. They can even, adjust the SIM if they have 2 active SIMs in the device. So they're able to go in there and play with it themselves however they'd like. And again, these back office portals, as a customer would use them, I use them in the same sense. I get on these things every day, all day to help out my customers. I jump in. They want to see a quick speed test. Again, if it's a onesie twosie, I'll do it for them. If it's a 10 site or more opportunity for a customer, they'll have their own access. We can do a quick tutorial and a training on these back office portals for them to kind of show them and how to navigate through it, show them all the capabilities that they have to view this. And again, you can even get pretty granular in the Genesis portal for Digi on that side of things for to really kind of dive into what is using said data consumption. Again, a lot of these customers I've had a customer once hop on and 2 gigs was going to be plenty for them. And all of a sudden they ended up using about 54 gigs. And we were, what in the heck happened? I didn't even know I went down. It didn't tell me anything, to find out that throughout the week they had been connecting their Alexa show to the backup internet. And because we're able to go into that back office portal, get granular, we can actually tell what applications are using what pieces of data. So after a month or so of good data, we can go in there, we can actually take a look with them. I'll happily jump on a call with every customer to kind of dive into that portal with them, figure out, well, why are we using 5.6 gigs on Spotify? We probably should be cutting that out. So we can get pretty granular as what details we can provide to really pinpoint that right plan for them and understand what their data usage is.
I love it because you really kind of like answered my question already. And that was like, what kind of customers do you work with? And just from us talking about this, it's still kind of how it's been since I've been working with you, where I can take a 1-site customer or I can take an enterprise grade, like, and everything in between, which is great. And I also think it's funny when you talk about like their Alexa show or their Spotify and getting granular like that, because I can tell you, I had a customer that we had services, a backup on, and they were like blowing through it because they were waiting for their DIA and they were like, I can't figure it out. And so finally I go up there and I'm going to go check everything. And as soon as I walk past like the receptionist's desk, I'm like looking over and she has Netflix on her computer, like playing in the background. And I'm like, well, how often do you have that up? And she's all telling me, oh, I just kind of turn it on in the background. I'm like, well, there you go. Because I wonder how many other people have Netflix and things like that on. So I love that. And that's great. You brought up something as well. And that is like, when a customer, let's say, experiences something or has an issue, how does For2Fi like work with them to find the solution? Like you call a number, you send a chat, like what is the best way to get in contact with For2Fi?
The best way I can say is, personally, as a sales guy myself, pick up the phone and make a phone call. I personally think that is going to be the best way, but we operate on a 24-hour support system. So again, we have 4 to 5 badged employees that are going to be answering the phone for you 24/7. If it's at 2 a.m. in the morning, it may go directly to the owner of the company, but he will answer and he will be there to take those phone calls. In the sense of when I say that our support is 24/7, I prefer calling, but again, our support team is phenomenal at response time, whether it be a phone call, whether it be an email. You can email into my support team. We have our tier 1 support kind of handle most of the incoming calls and incoming emails at first to kind of figure out how technical do we need to get? Do we need to get a real technician on the phone here to kind of pinpoint we're having configuration issues, we're having device issues, things that are going wrong? Or is it as simple as just reboot your device, turn it on, turn it back on kind of situation? So, and again, we even have our front desk portal that we can absolutely give every customer has access to, so they can open it up. They can open tickets themselves, talk directly with our actual tier 3 technicians to have conversations. We can schedule a call for installations that if they have problems with installation, they can set up a quick call with my team to kind of walk through them via the phone. So there are absolutely many ways to contact our support and get into touch with us. But again, if you ask me, I would going to tell you to make a quick phone call to my support, and you can see how quickly they're going to jump on it and pick up the phone.
That's awesome, because I can't tell you the number of people that are like, I tried chatting, I tried this, and I just can't get help. Like, I need help. Actually, that's why they call me sometimes. So, I mean, I don't want to be out of a job, but I would prefer for them to have a great customer experience, you know?
Right.
But I often ask this of people that come on the podcast, and that is, if you could name just a couple of differentiators that 4to5 really brings to the table, kind of to like bring it home as like, when you think of 4to5, think of us for this, what would that be?
I would say there are 3 things that I have in that category. And my first and official one, which we've kind of talked about previously, is our month-to-month offerings. There are not a lot of carriers out there that'll be there to save you in a pinch and give you a month-to-month solution. You're going to have to pay a 12-month cost, pay it all up in 1 month most of the time just to be able to have that service. What really makes 4to5 stand out is, one, our ability to have that month-to-month contract, our speed that goes into it. Because again, if a customer calls me and says my installation went bad, I can have them up and running in 48 hours. If they get to me at the proper time in the morning, I can have them up and running in 24 hours. So the flexibility to be that fast, get them up and running, is really what makes us stand out. I know some of my other competitors do have to do a site survey, take time, may take 2 weeks. We're able to bypass all of that, send them a pre-configured device ready to go, plug and play ready. And so all they do is sign for the package once it's there, plug it in, and they have internet and they are up and running. The number 2 thing, again, is what really makes us stand out, which we've kind of talked a little bit about this in the beginning, is really our POTS replacement solution. In the legacy POTS solution, everyone is selling a 4G LTE solution inside their device. If it's not, it's their fancy POTS box that has a 4G modem in it. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that solution. We've done that. We've sell that. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that 4G is going away. So being able to preemptively set up our customer for success, so that in 2.5, 3 years, when 4G is done, 4G is gone, T-Mobile is already talking about it, to where we'll already have the device and everything input for 5G. So we are already preemptively prepping, so that all you have to do, the customer won't even know. LTE will be cut off. They'll be moved up to 5G. Won't even see a cost difference. Won't even see a difference going into it, because we're already prepping for it. And then again, the third thing is really, again, guys, I really want to say it's our flexibility. I've worked in the channel for so long, for so many companies throughout my 10 years in the channel, that I've never been able to be so flexible. You can sign on me for an unlimited term for a 36-month contract. Let's say you end up not needing unlimited. It's getting crazy. Let's try to bring down cost. We'll absolutely reduce your cost by dropping down a plan, maybe a 100 gig plan, maybe a 50 gig plan. Whatever works best for the customer, knowing after a couple months of usage what your actual data usage is. We can be extremely flexible and are not afraid to downgrade you to be that carrier, to be able to help you get to the right plan for the right budget to make your business succeed.
Yeah, I love it. And that's really what I think about when I think of For2Fi. I mean, I know you talked about some of the big guys, the AT&T, the T-Mobile, them, but really what differentiates you is the time period in which you can do an implementation, Yeah. And I can tell you a lot of times that makes a world difference, because I've had people that I've talked to, I'm like, well, we talked to so-and-so, I'm not going to say who it was, and they're like, it's going to take 2-3 weeks and we can't wait that long.
Mm-hmm.
And, being able to get that done quickly is amazing. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but what do you see kind of is, I guess I would say, the future for For2Fi going forward? Is it like we're really going to like dig in and this is going to be what we're offering? Because I mean, you've got like more IoT things, you've got all those fun things. So, I don't want to pigeonhole you guys, but I just wanted
to and again, I don't think you're pigeonholing us. And again, when it comes to wireless connectivity, things change drastically. I mean, 4 years ago, I don't think we even offered POTS replacement, and let alone we didn't even offer IoT or anything. So where I see For2Fi going in the next coming years is right now, specifically where our largest customers are coming in at 1,000 sites, 1,200 sites, 1,700 sites, is really that enterprise backup. People are getting rid of their typical Comcast coax as their backup and starting to move towards a wireless solution. 1, because of the cost. 2, because of the compatibility and the easiness of it. And 3, when you have a large enough corporation and as many sites as you have, we can really set you up on a nice data pool to be able to work with every customer in that sense. And then 2 is I don't know if I'd say that this is where we want to say that this is all we offer. But again, we've talked about it 4 or 5 times already in this call, is POTS replacement. With analog lines going away, with carriers jacking up those costs, with being on these legacy lines that are no longer supported, it doesn't work anymore. You're no longer actually meeting the criteria that if you have an auditor come out, you're going to get fined for that line not working. So the POTS replacement world has become a huge piece to our business in this year of 2025, that it is, I mean, I can't go a day without at least selling 4 or 5 lines. So it's become such a thing that, again, whether or not we do specialize in wireless connectivity, I think POTS replacement / voice data services like that via wireless may end up be where For2Fi is headed.
No, and I love that. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for joining me for Tech Tequila today.
Thank you so much.
We covered some great information about backup, redundancy, resilience, POTS replacement, and these things. But if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, Chase, or get more information on For2Fi, what's the best way to go about doing that?
Again, the best way would be able to, 1, shoot me an email or shoot me a phone call. My direct line on my signature, my business card, my invoice, everything is going to be my direct cell phone. Because of the territory I have and how large it is, my phone is available 24/7. You call me, I will be able to pick up the phone, have a conversation with you, and get you moving forward. And again, if for any reason we all have issues to where I may be out of office, I have a phenomenal sales team. I have an inside sales team that handles my inbox while I am out of office, sick, or anything like that, to where, again, my team can absolutely help out with any issue if I'm not in the office. So again, I would always say email me and CC my sales team just to make sure. And then again, that will guarantee you will get your quickest answer possible.
I love it. Well, thank you again for joining us today. And of course, Familia, that is a wrap. I love it. I love when we cover things that may not be that sexy, but definitely keep your businesses up and going. And that is ultimately the most important thing. So thank you for joining us for Tech Tequila, where tech meets community. Every conversation, of course, is paired with a good pour and great vibes. Make sure and check out El Magico. I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for saying it that way, but we'll move on. And of course, thank you, Chase, for sharing so much information about For2Fi, about wireless, and about POTS. If you enjoyed today's episode, help us spread the word, because that helps get us out in the ether, and it helps with getting more SEO and all the good things. So you can find Tech Tequila on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course on YouTube. And if you'd love to, tag us at Shelby Tech Solutions on most of our socials. So thank you very much. And that's a wrap.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Tech Tequila. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. To stay updated about all things tech and more, don't forget to visit us at our website, shelbyts.com. If you loved what you heard, remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our podcast. Your 5-star ratings and reviews mean the world to us and help us to reach more listeners just like you. So muchas gracias again for joining us with Tech and Tequila. Thank you so much. You learned a lot about tech and maybe you had a nice drink of tequila.